Michele, welcome.
Nathaniel, thank you very much.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Very honored to be here, actually.
You are welcome. You have been on my list for a long time. So
Oh.
finally you're here. And how are you doing?
Fine, doing super fine.
Fine.
Thank you very much.
Also during this Corona thingy?
Well, I find it challenging this time more than the first one. Actually, the first one, everything is new. You have a bit to, maybe the first 2 weeks we had to adapt, but then I must say it went pretty smoothly. We know the summer was close, no? It was just a matter of waiting a bit. Now instead it was in October, the very beginning of winter, so it's a bit more challenging. I find it a bit more challenging, but nevertheless, you're doing fine. We are very lucky. We are very lucky.
Yeah. You don't have a dedicated workspace at home?
I try to create a bit.
Not in the kitchen, right?
No, not in the kitchen. Well, I do also some meetings from the kitchen.
Okay.
But I try to create a bit a space in my living room with monitors, desk. Now I have also professional seat, so I try to create something that's separated from the usual life.
Great. Right. So anything, having any special events now on Christmas? Planning anything?
Well, fortunately, I will be able, I hope so at least, to go to Italy to visit my parents. So it was in doubt until the very last. My parents are a bit aged, let's say, so my greatest preoccupation was for them more than for me directly. So I wanted to come up with a plan actually to minimize the risk of bringing the virus there, because that's my biggest concern. So I decided, my parents live in Florence, so that's the city where I was born, but Florence is not a big airport, so most of connections are either to Pisa or Bologna. In this case I fly to Bologna, and in order to avoid to take bus, trains, etc., I decided to spend a bit of money to directly hire a car, and I will go and drive to Florence directly to minimize risks.
Great. So I think your parents are looking forward to
Absolutely, because from one side, you know how parents are. From one side, they don't want to make you pressure, but on the other side, without seeing you, they're dying a bit inside. I have no siblings, no. So my parents live alone, and they encourage me a lot to do my experience, to go abroad, to live my life, etc. But it's very important that for events like Christmas, we can see, we can hug, we can spend some time together. That's really important.
Great, nice. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course, with pleasure. So, I'm Michele, you know that. So I come from Italy, was born there. I'm a team lead now and a backend developer of my team in Lieferando. I moved to Germany now. It's already more than 4 years. Nathaniel. Time flies, really. Sometimes when I think about that, I remember the day before taking the flight to Berlin, walking around in my neighborhood just to live a bit, to live again. The last time, the streets there with a lot of fear, super scared. But now it's 4 years and almost and a half. And joined Lieferando 2 years and a few months ago. So that's me.
Background-wise, what did you, college, school, educational background?
So my family is more scientific, let's say, and driven. So my father has a master in physics and my mother in mathematics.
Oh wow, that's very high.
So, it was
lots of pressure, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it was pretty, let's say, unlikely that I would have grown up as an artist, no?
Yeah.
So somehow I decided to follow the path of my father without any pressure. Actually, I still remember that they constantly every 2 weeks were asking me, are you sure you want to go to study physics? So that's what I decided to study after high school. So I did see both the bachelor and the master in physics.
Great. Wow, your parents must be very proud of you, right? Especially your
Thanks.
father. Your father
I
must
hope
be
so,
like,
yeah.
made it.
I think so.
And now it's a developer. Oh, what a disgrace.
What a disgrace.
What's a disgrace?
Actually, I should tell some. I could speak about this also because
All right.
actually, my father was hardware programmer early in his career, and my father is 18. So you programmer at that times with the piece of paper with the holes.
Yeah.
I don't know the
punching
English.
holes in the
Exactly.
paper. Yeah.
So they were programming like these. If you did a mistake like this, you had to start from scratch again and again and again. So I have. He told me some funny stories how I was programming in. Anyway, it was 70s in the 70s.
Wow, great, amazing. No debugger.
No debugger. There was no IDE.
No IDE.
Daniel, no.
Nothing.
No QAs.
No QA. Scrum Master. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Great. And so somewhere down the line, you then decided to switch career, right?
Exactly.
Want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, with pleasure. With pleasure. This is thinking about it. It's nothing particularly strange, of course, but I must say that if I think to it retrospectively, when I was 25, 24, I would never thought to do what I did. No, so after I took the master. Actually, I chose not to continue with the academic career. I was a bit bored, a bit disappointed. I think that I took the master degrees in 2010. 2010, that's this year. Tell you something?
Wow.
Yeah, that was the year of the crisis. No, and I did my thesis in Madrid, and in 2010. Before the crisis, actually, it was soon before to 2008, 9. Spain was really amazingly booming.
Spain?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was in this university where they were building a new building for science, for the Department of Physics, Mathematics, etc. Completely new, latest technology, etc. And university they were getting a lot of funds. Then the crisis came, and they stopped everything.
Everything. Wow.
And then really funds to university dropped, and so also possibility to do the PhD there actually. However, I must say that I was a bit bored. So I asked myself, do you want to do this your whole life? So I had fun. So I was enjoying what I was doing. But then asking myself, yeah, exactly, do you want to do that? And the answer was a bit no, I don't want to do that my whole life. And so I decided, okay, university is over for me, definitely. And then I decided to, actually it was not super easy to decide what to do, because at that point you have to invent something, no? So also thanks to my father, I got the idea to try in the energy field, which was also a good experience. So I went to Rome to do what's called a second level master. So it's a master, a shorter master is 9 months, okay? And that was interesting, challenging for some aspect. And then I started working in the energy field, energy sector, soon after finishing this master. That was 2012. What I must say is that once again, I pretty soon understood that that was not what I wanted to do.
But you finished the master, right?
Yeah,
the second one.
I finished the master.
Afterwards, or during the time you were doing it, you realized this is not for me.
No, during the master was challenging, so I didn't have the time to think about it.
Okay.
It was really challenging. You just had to do that, and that was the goal. Yeah, that was okay. When I finished the master, actually I found immediately a job as an energy consultant. So I was advising industries, actually big, small industries, about the energy. So I was like an advisor, a consultant. But I soon understood that again, that was not what I wanted to do. It was not enough. It was not challenging enough. You also have this feeling.
Yeah,
Tanya,
I know.
When inside of you, there is something that make
you
some
can
noise.
you can do more. You can
Yeah.
do more. You can
Exactly.
you can reach more. Yeah.
And so I decided this was longer the process because I just was feeling that. Then I guess you want to know how I came to the
So
programming.
yeah. That's the most interesting part. How did it? Who
That's why I'm
taught
here.
you?
So the point is this: I always liked IT, technology, IT. At the university, also did some programming courses. I think 2 classes of programming per year. So it was very low-level programming. So it was something like writing a driver for a laboratory tool to connect it to Windows, for example. It's kind of program, so pretty very low-level C, not even C++, C. But somehow I liked it. So I had also some experience in scripting language. For example, there was an online game. Maybe you've heard. Battle for Westnot. Battle for Westnot. Okay, it was a game, open source.
Web.
Web.
Okay.
No, it was not web. You had to download it.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was open source, and it had also a scripting language to create extensions. And so now I don't really remember which one was the year. I think 2009, 2008, something like that. With 2 people that I knew on the internet, we created the most downloaded extension for that game. So it was not a real programming language, but it was a scripting language. This is the background. Just that I always like technology, I always like games also, of course. Then I really enjoyed the computer classes at the university. And well, you know, I was playing a browser game at that time with a friend especially. And we were really angry that the browser game was not good enough. That was 2010 actually. 2010, 2011.
During the crisis, playing video games.
Yeah, exactly. What else can you do, no? In crisis or pandemic.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, we are somehow disappointed. So we are telling each other for months and months, okay, we could do better. And then first I decided, okay, I had it was 2012. Started working on this new work, no? And I decided, okay, I want to learn programming seriously. That was the first thing I wanted to do, with the idea that okay, maybe I can build a new game from something simple. No, you just need motivation to start sometimes. No? Even if something unreachable at the very beginning.
And this friend of yours, is this someone you already knew a long time ago, or friend from school, from college?
I knew.
Or also a friend from work who was bored with his work and say, hey, let's get out of here, let's start programming.
No. He was. I knew him playing an online game, actually. And then, by chance, he lived in Madrid. So I became very good friend with him during my Erasmus in Madrid. And he was already a developer. He was professionally already a developer. He's a bit older than me, a few years, but he was already a developer. And yeah, so I wanted to start coding. And I of course I had a couple of friends, especially one. I had one friend who was and is a developer in Italy. He gave me some hints, not really a lot of help, but you know. So learn SQL, he told me, and then learn PHP. Okay, that was his mostly suggestion. He gave me a book. That was the first programming language coding book. The first coding book.
Which one?
SQL. Not really programming language, but coding related. That was the first book. And then I started by myself, mostly by myself. Still remember the first year. After 1 year, I realized, okay, this is really good. I mean, what the code developer was doing, but so the first year was really only coding, only learning the very basics, and it was tough. But it took me week after week, month after month. It took me. I mean, I was into that. And then I was dedicating more time.
So while you were working in this energy company, right?
Energy company.
Energy company, you after work you would come home and program and learn how to code. And before work you would learn, okay, wow.
I mean, the first months, as I told you, I was not really totally dedicated yet. No. After a few months, even before the 1 year, after a few months, I realized, oh, I like this. I really like this. This constantly need of learning and learning so much, and you see you're scratching just the surface, and then it took me completely. And then I realized that this could have been a way to make a living. I could make a living of that, but I knew that I needed to learn so much. And at the same time, we decided with this friend, hey, and no, wait. I was first alone. I decided, okay, I want to build a game. Meanwhile, I was learning. So, yeah, it took me completely. So, for almost 3 years, I think 2 years, between 2 and 3 years, even more, every day, I finished working at 6. I run as fast as possible at home, and I coded until midnight, sometimes 11, sometimes 1, at least 5 days a week. Like from Monday to Thursday. Then on Friday, usually I took it off because, also the brain needs to rest sometimes. And then between Saturday and Sunday, also several hours split between the 2 days. And this for 2 years and a half, 3 years. And after 1 year and a half, I was also a bit working, so I was to make some money now. But I decided to go deep with this game. And after 1 year and a half, I brought into the project my friend. And then after, more or less 1 year and a half, we decided, okay, let's do this game. Let's create our own startup and make a living with it. And in case it doesn't work, we will have learned so much, and then we'll find another job. No, that was the plan. I mean, he was already a developer, as I told you, so he wasn't really working. And that lasted for years. And at a certain point, well, it was coming close the time to launch the startup. I mean, the project was going actually well. So the game was there. We also paid a few graphic designers to help us, and so we also invested some money. We took contacts with a company in London to create the startup, because London is super easy. There are these companies that let you open a company without even having to live there. No, they take care about everything. You have to pay, of course, but it's not even so crazy. But this was 2000 to 15, around 14, 15. Okay, you remember what happened those years?
I think mobile phone, mobile devices.
Exactly. The mobile market of the apps and games boomed. So in 2 years, the gaming industry was completely revolutionized.
And you were already building something in the web.
Exactly, because we were building something for the web. We are not app developers. We had no idea how to build an app, and so we are browser based. And that in a short amount, in 1 year, it killed all our competitors. It might seem, oh great, you don't have any more competitors. No, that's a tragedy, because there is no market anymore. So only 1 or 2 survived. One of them is still there, but it killed our market. So we understood that we had no chance to really make a living on that. So this killed a bit our hope of launching a startup.
Wow. So did you guys, have you thought of switching to mobile development, or was it like, no, we don't?
We would have needed more people. I mean, in those years, it was not so easy to build apps for iOS and Android, for example, or they were hybrid. It was booming, and we had no skills, really. We had no skills, so to do something like this, and it would have required too much effort.
Too much effort, yeah. I can imagine, yeah.
However, we were not so desperate. I mean, we knew that this could have happened, no? Therefore, we said, okay, plan B. My friend went into the direction of big data. So he did a course in big data, and it was really great.
He's still in Italy now?
In Madrid.
In Madrid.
Yeah,
Okay.
still in Madrid. And he took a course. He did this specialization in big data. Found another job, much more paid than before. So he achieved that. In my case, I said, okay, I want to make an experience abroad. I mean, already, as I told you, we wanted to create a startup in London. But at this point, I said, okay, I want to prepare to look for a job as an employee, normal employee. So I want to prepare. I gave myself something like 6 months, where instead of coming back home and creating a game, I would come back home and prepare for interviews, reading stuff. And 6 months, and then I will start applying for a job. Life is strange, sometimes not that. So we arrived to the reason why I'm here. So we took with a girlfriend that I had at that time a short vacation, 5 days to Berlin. What happened? I fell in love with the city. Really, 5 days. It was December. Cold, but I really like, for example, the Christmas atmosphere, so with the Christmas markets, lights, I don't know, somehow the atmosphere, the vibes, I don't know, of Berlin caught me. And then I started a bit to research once I came back to Italy. And I started thinking, well, but this city, why London? When I could go to Berlin. I mean, it's the second tech city in Europe, and probably now it's the first since, London is not anymore in European Union. And so really, I decided, okay, let's start with Berlin. I mean, I have to start from somewhere. And yeah, actually, I was lucky. So a crazy guy in a startup hired me after a Skype interview, only 10 days after I started sending CVs.
All right, great. Let's talk a little bit about the tech scene in Italy. I mean, your friend stayed in Madrid, in Spain, and that seems to me that Spain is doing well when it comes to tech, right? I mean, better than
it depends.
Italy, maybe.
It depends. Let's say that also Madrid is not really a tech city. There is something, so the scene is for sure better than most Italian cities, that's for sure. But probably in Spain, Barcelona is their best tech city.
Spain.
So I think that Italy and Spain have much in common. So the tech scene is not so developed. And in Italy, the only real tech city is Milan. So that's the only city that in Europe that can be compared to European cities, with also salaries that are much higher than average in Italy. And I think in Spain the same. So Barcelona is the first one, and there is also, of course, something in Madrid, but I wouldn't compare Madrid to the other cities.
And so in Italy, is like professions like software development, is it popular? Do people looking forward to do something?
Taking into account that I grew up in Florence, and Florence is not really the most tech city in Italy, so it's more a city for artists, people that come.
Software development is art.
That I agree completely, but people don't know that. That's the problem, no? So students come to Florence. Students from abroad come to Florence not to study computer science. They come to Florence to study languages, architecture, arts, all kinds of arts. And so the scene in Florence is extremely poor.
Startup meetups very low.
No, that's super sad. You don't even have the possibility to go to meetups to learn in Florence, because there are no such meetups. And that's true for a lot of cities in Italy. So the tech scene is really underdeveloped. There are here and there, for example, in Bologna, there is something, but I would say the only city that can be compared to the other European tech cities is Milan.
Milan.
So my choice at that point could have been to go to Milan, but I know no one in Milan. So at that point, I wanted to make an experience also abroad, a real working experience abroad, other than only the 5 months of Erasmus.
So if you had the budget, let's say you have the budget, would you like launch a startup or launch, let's say, coding school boot camp in Florence, or would it be something like nobody would be interested?
No, in Florence, never ever I will start something. The theme of the startup, I wanted to create a startup, so for a few years it started to stay in my mind. But at the moment, let's say that I have known people with startups. Also working in a startup before joining Lieferando. I appreciate much more the work-life balance now.
Okay.
Now it's really important. I mean, you know me, I'm very dedicated to work. I have no problems in doing overtime if we need it, and I'm really passionate and an extremely important part of my life. But I'm also happy that when I come back home in the evening, I don't have to think about new strategy to make my startup earn more money and survive the next month, honestly.
Yeah, get it. And so you came to Germany, you're working for a startup, and then how did you switch to Lieferando?
So, I was working in a startup, in a small startup. We were 13, that were biggest point of growth. And you have to do everything. Really, you have to do everything.
Design?
No, fortunately not design. I have a good friend that I'm trying to bring him to Lieferando, but he doesn't want to play. However, you have to do everything, really. So I was hired to build a social network, a small niche social network, because the startup works in the life science. So it was a social network for postdocs, researchers in this field, okay? And they had no web developers at that time, so somehow they failed to deliver. No? So I went there with extreme fear. You cannot imagine how I was feeling the first day. I could hear my heart actually. But we did actually an amazing job. We sometimes took confidence of what I was doing, and we completely rewrote from scratch the application, because they were not experienced in web development. They were trying to develop an application with C++ in mind, why web application need to be built in a completely different way. So mostly I rewrote the complete application, and we created this social network. And
which language libraries did you?
So PHP. We were working in PHP, and of course in JavaScript. The front end, I brought Vue there, so they were originally in Angular 1, and PHP. There is a framework called Falcon, so we kept Falcon, and as I told you, we were 2. Then at a certain point 3 developers. And then you have to do everything. I mean, you have to spin up the servers, your own servers, because we had the servers in a room, No Amazon Web Services at the very beginning. Yeah. So we had the servers in the room. You have to SSH into a service to update Linux, install, and the firewall, set up correctly the firewall, etc., from scratch. Then you have to do the backend, you have to do the front end. So I was full stack, of course.
That's real full stack.
That's real full stack. Real full stack. At the very beginning, we didn't even have a software like Jira, no? Mm-hmm. So that was introduced later. I also pushed to be more agile. I tried to introduce agile, and also people were responsive somehow. Fortunately, I had another Italian guy. This friend of mine, he was already working there. He's a graphical designer, and so together, really, we did a lot of work. So I convinced him to learn CSS. So I had to work with CSS less possible, and I taught him actually CSS and a bit of SAS, and then he became much better than me, really. So that was amazing. So at least the CSS, he's a graphical designer. He was also taking care about CSS, everything, and we really teamed well. And then we also took a working student, really talented guy, I must say, super young. I mean, when he will be when he will be as old as I am, he will be 4 times better than me in everything. And and that's the point. Sorry, I started speaking about that because when you remember also nice memories. The point is that at a certain point there is nothing more to do. At a certain point in these small startups, they give you the possibility to learn very broadly a lot of stuff, because I told you have to take care about everything. But then you cannot go any more deeper. At a certain point, there is nothing more to learn. And that's what started to make me feel a bit bored, because I was at a certain point also always repeating a bit the same stuff, always the same things. And then, of course, I could bring so many things, view, so much stuff. But then you stop. You cannot continue bringing stuff. You don't need to scale to go to the cloud to build. Started using some services, of course, S3, etc. Then there is a limit. And then I felt really, really actually limited. I couldn't grow more. And also, I must also say that I needed more than 1 hour to reach the office every day. So 1 hour, a bit more to go, 1 hour to come back. After a while, that becomes a bit.
Yeah, I get it. And then takeaway
and then
came and offered you. Oh, you applied, or they reached out to you? You applied, okay.
I applied, and I'm really grateful to my colleagues that hired me. It was a good luck. I mean, sometimes in life you have to be lucky, and that was very good luck that I applied and that they took me. Really
great. I'm also really happy that you're part of the team, and I've only heard great things about you as a person, as a developer.
Thank you. Too kind.
Let's talk about you had a conference with Matthew, right?
Yeah.
Matthew Fury.
Amazing experience. Amazing experience.
Was that the first time you were talking at a conference?
So big, yes. I mean, I've spoken in meetups, but I also we organized a meetup in Ferrando.
I missed that. Yeah.
2 times we had to 2 meetups. Up to 60 people were there. But this was another level.
This was before Corona.
Yeah, really. A few months before Corona. It was November before Corona. Really amazing experience. I'm really grateful to Lead Ferrando that asked Matthew and me to give a talk there. So really grateful for the opportunity.
What was the topic about again?
So the topic was scaling our APIs to 100 million orders. That was the topic. So how we are scaling our infrastructure back in the front end to meet such the requirement to work properly in such a scale. So I spoke about the job that we are doing constantly in the backend. So applying domain-driven design, going to event-driven architecture, and Matthew spoke about the refactoring they are doing in the front end. So using backend from front end, server-side rendering, etc. And that was another level. I think I still remember the room was completely full. That's a great experience. I always think that the best way to learn is to teach, because eventually when you when you
fully agree.
Exactly. When you teach whatever, you give presentation, speak, write, I mean,
you realize how much you know and how much you don't know
exactly.
at the same time.
Especially that one. And then you're forced to read, to study, to go deeper.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. And you also I think you also technical writer, right? You wrote a blog.
I wrote 1 or 2 posts in the blog. Yeah. I don't write so much actually. But I have a couple of open source packages.
Oh, open source packages, great.
My GitHub. I take care about these more packages with 20 stars. But actually, I think they are. It makes me feel also useful, even if maybe just a bunch of people use them. I think that's my way of giving back to the community, because we use open source every day, no? And also open source allowed me and many developers know to become developers, actually, to learn. So I want to keep a bit of involvement in the open source scene, even a bit. I think it's great. It also forces you to keep a high quality standards, because you know that your code can be exactly.
Yeah, people are using it in maybe some of your code. People are using it in like production.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Using a company. And
exactly, can be, no?
if it breaks, they come to you and say, "Hey, because of Michele's code, our company
really
went bankrupt."
that I don't know. I am sure there are much better developers than me that can fix my bugs and my mistakes. But actually, it happens, especially in the past, that people ping me, "Hey, but there is this bug, or could you please add this?" And somehow it makes feel you now also useful. No,
right.
that's a small way of giving back, actually. So yeah, but as I told you, it forces you to have a high standards. You cannot put the first thing that comes into your mind, comments like this, because it's a bit the face to the public that you're giving. No, somehow I'm pretty sure that it's also useful when you look for a new job, actually. So yeah.
Great. All right. Where can people reach you?
So people can reach me in GitHub, in Twitter. I try to post something useful from time to time. So I would say that, GitHub, LinkedIn, of course. People can search me in LinkedIn, and they can follow me, discover a bit more about my life if they want.
All right, Michele. Thank you very much for your time.
I'm really, really, really honored and happy to have been your guest. Please keep up with your work with the blog. It's amazing. Yeah,
Thank you.
Everyone admires you for your work.
Thank you very much. And I wish you the best to your journey to Italy. Hopefully everything goes well. Your parents, your family, happy to
Thank
meet
you very much.
And maybe you can show them this.
I will for
go,
sure. I will. I look forward to showing them this video, and I wish you the best as well.
Great. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. This was Michele, and we're out. Bye bye.